So we have Yusuf Zalal, 5'10", going up against Peter Barnett, who's 5'9", not a big height differential. And the reach, we got a 2-inch reach advantage for Yusuf. So Yusuf Zalal, this will be his third fight in the UFC. Man, he's been really impressive so far. Like when I watched the tape on this guy previous to the UFC, I wasn't overly impressed. But man, this guy is one of these guys, one of these young guys who continues to grow, continues to get better between fights. And you look at, he came into the UFC and just kind of exploded on the scene. Two very, very good performances. And I got to tell you guys what, I like him in this matchup as well. Let's take a look at the Factory X product, Yusuf Zalal. So he is 9-2. I love his nickname too, the Moroccan Devil. Phenomenal nickname. So we take a look here. He did lose some fights earlier on in his career. I feel like those fights don't have quite as much relevance. So he did lose to Jose Mariscal, an 8-3 guy in LFA. That's in early 2019, not a long time ago. And that's what I mean when this guy has grown tremendously and is a very impressive guy that I expect to do a lot of very impressive things in the UFC. Follows it up with a split decision loss to Matt Jones right after that in May of 2019. This guy was taking L's on the regional scene just barely over a year ago. But then you look at how he bounced back, flying knee early in round one against Jaime Hernandez. Great win. Very spectacular. Comes into the UFC, puts an absolute beat down on Austin Lingo, a phenomenal unanimous decision win as a big underdog there. Pat yourself on the back if you bet Yusuf Zalal as a big underdog against Austin Lingo. Lingo screwed up a lot of parlays that night. So then he comes back literally just 5 weeks ago. This guy fought Jordan Griffin, another really solid unanimous decision win. I picked him. I bet him in that spot. I felt like it was a great spot. He gets the win against Jordan Griffin, a very tough out. So let's take a look at the newcomer, Peter Barrett, which I believe this is a replacement fight for Peter Barrett. Slippery Pete, pretty good nickname. So one thing I got to point out is he is 33 years old, coming out of Joe Lozon. Lozon MMA is where he trains. Not a bad camp, but man, a 33-year-old guy making his debut in the UFC. There's usually a reason for that. The UFC, we'd like to see like a 23-year-old making their debut. But then again, that might be too early too, if you know what I mean. Let's look at what he's done. So last fight, he fought Sang-Hoon Yu, a 5-0 guy on the Contender Series, got the win. Before that, Zach DiSabatino knocked him out in the first round. Zach was a 5-1 guy. Not bad. Cage Titans 44. Before that, though, a loss to Connor Berry. We go back 2 summers ago, almost 2 years ago exactly. Loses an armbar round 1 to Connor Berry, 4-2 guy. Not impressive. Here's something here, though. Previous to that, spring of 2018, a win over Jay Ellis, a 15-75 guy. Yeah, that's right. I said 15-75. Unreal. Gets the rear naked. Jay Ellis. The king of cans. Okay. So previous to that, though, a loss to TJ Brown, but we're getting towards the end of 2017. We're getting a few years back now. And then a loss to Drew Moraes. So, looking at this guy's record, looking at the body of work, I mean, he's 3-3 in his last 6 fights, making a UFC debut. Is he one of those guys that's probably getting the call up because there's not quite as many people willing to fight in the current atmosphere? Yeah, I would definitely say so. And like I said, we're going to watch the tape, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, I would be very surprised if I thought Peter Barrett had a good shot to beat Yusuf Zalal, as impressive as he's been. Let's take a look at these odds. So Peter Barrett, as it stands right now, is a plus 280 underdog. We have Yusuf Zalal as a minus 340, just steamed as could be. Let's see where these odds opened up at. Yeah, okay, so Yusuf Zalal even opened as a minus 320. People are still saying, I got meat on the bone. I see value in Yusuf in this matchup as a minus 320. We've bet him up to a minus 340, minus 350 at this point. So interesting developments. And as it stands right now, yeah. So Yusuf Zalal is the biggest favorite on the card as it stands right now. And I tell you what, probably a pretty good spot, probably a pretty good first leg of a parlay. I also like that it's early in the night. You can really pair him up, do some damage early on. But Yusuf Zalal, man, very impressive guy up to this point.